Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me? I think that's a yes. Okay. So, good morning to everyone present. It is implicit that internships are a hallmark to gain experience in the field of law. They are a um, critical piece for every law student, as it provides with real life work experience. Thereby, JRTC in turn has decided to organize this web series on the theme virtual internships from law chambers to home. The agenda for organizing this webinar are two pointers. First, we understand as to what expectations do the law firms have from the interns when it comes to online or digital internships since the pandemic, and what is now meant by online internships since the pandemic has happened, and how the same has been implemented during the pandemic. So, as we all are aware, that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, internship plans for a lot of students have been affected. In such situations, the online or the digital internships have taken place. And this webinar will deal with how these internships have come at par with the traditional internships or with the real internships which we were taking part in up till now. So today we have Mr. Abir Lal Dey sir, who is a partner at Luthra and Luthra, who deals with banking and finance, insolvency and restructuring matters. His practice areas primarily focus on rendering legal advices, structuring, drafting and negotiation assistance to the borrowers and lenders in their banking and finance matters. And we have Mr. Arup Das sir, who is an associate at Luthra and Luthra. He is a graduate of the Christ University and has immense experience working with the general corporate teams of prestigious law firms. So, welcome to you both, sir. And I would like to ask you to say a few words upon the same. So, I think you're supposed to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hi. Good morning to all of you. First of all, my sincere thanks to JRTC intern and the team for arranging this very relevant topic of virtual internship, because it's not only the student but also the firms as well as companies wherever internship opportunities are lying. We are seeing that since it's a new concept altogether, all are facing issues in terms of how to deal with it. And I think this webinar would be very useful for the attendees in terms of the agendas we are going to discuss and the questions we are going to take up. So therefore, I think that it would be very useful for all the students and all the attendees so far.
Yes, sir. Arup sir, do you have something to say?
Hi, thanks, Ridhima, for the wonderful introduction. And thanks for having me here. It's always pleasant to be collaborating with young people like yourself. I think this is, during such time, we should be talking about things like virtual internships, yes, because I think a lot of the legal fraternity, which is the students, have, they're all in a dilemma as to whether or not to take up digital internships, because a lot of people plan their internships strategically so that they can land a job at some point. So all of those plans somehow have been affected because of the ongoing pandemic, because FaceTime during your internships with your prospective employer is a very important thing, I believe. So today I think we'll be basing our discussion around that as to how do we get around the difficulties of a digital internship.
Right. Thank you, sir. Very well said. There are a few questions which I would, on behalf of all the law students, would like to know. Supposingly, what do you think are the advantages and disadvantages of an online internship from the point of view of both litigation and corporate sectors?
So I think this is a quite interesting question, because first of all, we have to understand litigation works differently than corporate. Litigation is sort of more, having face time, attending courts, and it is involving lot of outside work and not a desk job. And given this pandemic, lot of courts are having virtual session, but I don't know that whether the senior would be very keen to, give the access to the intern to attend those sort of session. That is one issue, I think. And given that there is a sudden disruption in the whole proceeding, it would take time for the courts and for the all the professional to basically streamline the whole system. So yes, the virtual internship for litigation sector is going to be challenging, but with time, I think things would be much more streamlined, and it would be much more. We would get more clarity that how internship is going to happen in the litigation segment.
Okay, so to summarize that, so you're taking that it's gonna take some time and some more, I think, energy for everybody
Yes.
to get adapted to the new structure which is coming in. But I'm sure people will adapt to it and will be able to be comfortable with it. Thank you so much, sir. Arup sir, do you have anything to say in the same context?
I think I'll just add to what Abir said, and we'll just directly dive into the question that was posed, which is what are the advantages? Like for physical internships, like in-person internships also, there are a lot of plus points and negative points, and every coin has two sides to it. Like it's similar as the situation for digital internships as well. So I think advantages of digital internship is one, like Abir and I, we were discussing this yesterday also, that this has opened up the wide arena of like international law firms, like for people who had financial difficulties to go intern with international law firms. I think can be doing that right now. Like if they have a impressive CV or they've accomplished something in the law school, then I think they can very well go and do an internship, like a digital internship. And this is something which was not available to people otherwise,
yes,
like to Indian students. So I think, first of all, it is going to be extremely cost efficient for international internships, and so for domestic internships also, it's going to be really cost efficient, because you can just stay at the comfort of your house and end up working, and that way you can leverage your CV with an international internships. And this is something that I would recommend everyone, because now that all law firms have opened up to digital internships, don't try and limit yourself to only Indian law firms. And but especially you should also keep in your mind that international law firms, they wouldn't hire people with an Indian degree, because we are not a reciprocating country. So if you have an Indian law degree, you can't really get placed over there. Even if you get placed, you'll be a paralegal of some sort, which is something that I wouldn't recommend. But from a placement perspective, I think you should keep interning with Indian law firms. But then if you want to try out something new, this is the best opportunity for people not to spend like lakhs of money on this and still get an internship done. Second, I think the other advantage is because you don't exactly go to a different city altogether, and you don't have to stay over there. So at least logistics, and you have a peace of mind at your home itself. Like you don't have to worry about your landlord throwing you out, because a lot of interns that we keep talking to, they have restrictions, like their PGs wouldn't allow people to go back home after 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. So all of this is not a hurdle anymore. And especially when internships are done with a purpose of impressing your seniors, please don't think about it that I'm saying that more FaceTime or the more that you showcase that you are a hard worker, that's going to help you get a job. That's absolutely not true. You just have to be efficient. See, the thing is, even if you try and sit for very long during office hours, this can be construed in a way to say that this person is supremely inefficient. That way, the thing is, when that person becomes an associate, and if he takes so much time on one particular matter, and especially when we bill the clients on an hourly basis, that's going to be a very loss-making deal for the law firms itself. So I'm not suggesting that you stay for longer hours, but then I'm sure even you have done internships, you would have felt this way, that at least during internships it can get really difficult, and those curfew timings that PGs or even personal like your normal societies have, that can pose a major problem. So that hurdle will not be there. And uh, we also keep talking to interns about how a lot of people fall sick also because of the food that they're subjected to.
Yes,
So
sir.
that all of that is also taken care of. So these are some advantages that we feel. Abhi, do you want to add something more to this?
No, I think you very well summarized, and these are the actual problem and which we also faced during our time of internship. And I think because of this pandemic, the virtual internship would redefine the internship thing in India. So let's hope that all the law firms, all the companies, and others would have come up with SOPs and procedure, because as of now there is no sort of procedure dealing with internship we have seen from any law firm or from any companies or any other places. But going forward, I think it would be coming in a more structured way.
Right, sir. So you made a very valid point talking about the international sector also. And I agree with you that it's much more cost effective. It reduces the amount of time which is taken up in the traveling and everything. It reduces the time which an intern might probably take to adjust to the new settings. Then the PG constraints, the food restrictions, everything is really valid, sir. Thank you so much for your inputs. So, what do you think are the issues faced by the associates or partners during the digital internships? Since they cannot really give out important case information to the interns, what do you think are constraints on your part?
So one important thing which we are facing, that we as a partner or associate, we have a lot of client deliverables and we are always on the phone, and the
Right.
only medium of contact is phone. Now, if we are busy, it is very difficult for the intern to get connected for any work or any sort of clarification the intern would require from the associate or the partner. So that is one. FaceTime is one of the biggest challenge, I think. Second is, the infrastructure. Many of the students may not have the required infrastructure at their home, which may be required, like books for referral. They may not have access to Manupatra. Firm may not be giving access to those sort of, online access. It would be a very difficult. I think it will pose very difficulty for the interns. Thirdly, security concern. I think many law firm may not have correct security measures, because due to the fact that most of them would be working on the desktop, may not have virtual desktop, and the security would be a concern, and giving access to outsiders would pose a threat in terms of client attorney privileges and all other things. So, and also distraction, because if you are working from home, there could be multiple distraction. You may not have your own room, own space. So
Right.
these are a couple of things I think is would have challenges. Arup, anything you would like to
So
add?
just in furtherance of what Abir just said, I think digital internships does come with their own fair share of problems that could be faced by people. I'm not sure about the rest of us on this webinar today, but then at least Abir and I, we are fortunate enough to be blessed with a family also who would support us working. A lot of, like, I've seen a lot of my peers who struggle to work at their own places because like they could have like hostile family members, or say there are space constraints or infrastructure problem. Like there are a couple of people that I know of, they come from really remote locations where they don't even have like a decent internet connection. So all of this could be a major hurdle for interns to even do their jobs properly. One of the biggest hurdle that I see in digital internships is again FaceTime, because that personal touch and like the in-person presence of an intern in an office is actually very helpful. Because I'm not sure if Abir has faced it or not, but as an associate, when Abir tells me to probably get things done through an intern during
Yes.
this digital internships, the problem is because I'll have to call up that intern and then brief him or her about the things that has to be done, then follow up with them. So instead of going through so much of pain, I'd be like, it's fine, even if I have to spend like 2-3 hours extra on this job, I'll just get it done myself instead of reviewing it. So this is something that wouldn't usually happen in a in-person internship, because you can just walk over to the interns area and tell them that this has to be done. You give them the
Right.
documents, and you just get it done, and you can just sit with them and tell them that, okay, fine, these are the things that could have been improved upon or something. But then over the call, because it's somehow, I feel it's not a very efficient way, but I think that's also going to be the norm going forward. So we will all get used to it, yes. Especially with so many of these document sharing softwares which are coming into place. I think we'll get used to it. It will take some time. It's just been like
Yes,
3-4 months, but that's one of the major hurdles, because honestly, the small talks also that you have with partners or associates during your internships, it really does leverage your job application in that firm, because that's always there. Like, and it's always nice to have like people from the younger generation around. I don't know why I keep talking like an old person, but it's always nice to have them on board.
right. So,
But
like,
Ridhima, it's really a problem. It's really a problem because we are also not very used to it,
right.
to
So,
be very frank.
no, sir. Of course, like everybody says, with advantages come disadvantages too. So I think it's just going to take some more time for us to be comfortable with it. But thank you so much, sir. That was insightful. So adding on to the question, I would like to ask from our perspective now, from the law students' perspective, and I'm pretty sure everybody attending this webinar would also be curious to know about this. What do you think? How do you think can students engage or participate more in such a digital setup then for them to, also be professional and intuitive at the same time? Like interns are very intuitive. They want to know the why of everything. How does this work? How does this work? And everything. But how can they also be professional? Being in their limits, but intuitive at the same time. What should a law student do?
See, the thing is that internships are basically with a mindset that, I would get some sort of entry in that organization or
Right,
gaining experience or exposure. Now, I have seen, and it's a fact that many students are not able to get into internship many places, and they are losing hope. Now,
right,
one way of looking at it, internship is not the last thing. Even if you are
right,
not getting internship, you can write an article, you can write something, you can do some sort of other activities which will make you add something on your CV. So one advice from my perspective is that don't lose hope. You may you may identify top law firms or top companies, and it is impossible. We have so many students, law students now, so many law colleges. It is impossible to cater so many students. So if you
right,
have to stand out, in addition to internship, you do other things which may be helpful in terms of you can think of writing a book, you can think of
right,
writing a lot of different articles, you can start a project, and also you have to think while you're doing internship also how you get a FaceTime, even though virtual, like with the partner and associate, you think some idea which
right, sir.
because of which the associate or partner would get attracted to do that thing. It's don't think it as a mundane sort of attending the office virtually and getting the work and getting it done, your job is done. You have to
Right.
be innovative. You have to stand out somehow different from others, and that will define yourself, and therefore you would get more and more chances in terms of getting more face time and getting job prospect.
Right. Sir, if I could add on to this question, what do you think are the alternatives present to our students apart from internships? Like, what else can they do? I'm sure this is
As
a
I
very
told you, yeah, because I am also coming from the time, at our
right.
time also there were not many law firms, there were not many companies, and internships were very difficult to get, and
Right.
it was quite difficult. And what I have realized, Ridhima, that not only internship, because I have seen people, they are just pinning on the hope of internship getting somewhere. One internship does not mean that you're going to get a job there. It is
Right.
dependent on your capabilities and other merits. That is one thing. And we should not be thinking that internships are basically from a specific set of college or something. You have to build your CV from first year. You have to build
Right.
your CV. You have to do things like, as I told you, other than internship, if you are not first year getting the internship opportunity, do some project, write some article.
Right, sir.
We have so many mediums. At our time, there were no LinkedIn, there were no like other medias or other law journals, publicly available. Now we have the reach to the world, correct? And if we
Right.
start writing something, start doing something, and keep publishing it, someday somehow you will be noticed. That's what I feel.
Yes. So as you said, we can probably write research papers which we can find easily on Locktopus, or we can write articles and everything. Sir, similarly, when we are in a digital or in an online internship, like supposingly I've heard the internship which students are nowadays getting from Lex Life or iPreaders, they just give these students to write articles upon. So they feel a little constrained that they're just getting research work and article work. What else do you think can a digital internship include for students to participate more? Because after some time, students feel a little bored just doing the research work, right? So this is a common question which I've seen coming from a lot of students, that we just get research work during the online internships. How are we supposed to attend a court proceeding? How is the litigation sector affected that way? Yes, sir. So what do you think can be other arenas in which a law student can work upon during a digital internship?
I don't exactly see a problem with why research is being viewed as something bad, because I think it adds a lot to you, to what you actually learn during an internship, because I think that actually clarifies a lot of things that you could see being applied on a day-to-day basis in a law firm, and that gives you a lot of clarity. So this is a major concern, yes, that a lot of these transactions, they don't see a lot of involvement of interns these days. That's primarily because, like Abir has already pointed out, because of confidentiality issues. So
Right.
I'm sure law firms also sign like a non-disclosure agreement or confidentiality agreement with interns. But the problem is, see, all of this put on a paper is very practical. But then imagine if it happens that one of your interns actually goes and discloses something out in the market, and
Right.
your firm's reputation is jeopardized. Logistically also speaking, I don't think an law firm would want to. It's not financially feasible also to be pursuing another intern for breach of their confidentiality agreement, right?
Yes.
So I don't know. There could probably a new infrastructure which can be established to get all these transaction documents to be sent online to interns. And the other reason why we don't send across a lot of transaction related documents are because we work with a lot of listed companies, and any information that is there, it could be an insider information. So suppose say the interns or any of the relatives also knowingly or unknowingly act on any information that has been given to them through say a internship assignment or something. The problem is if SEBI figures out that you have benefited out of it, they would actually go behind interns and their families. So it's also to be on a safer side from the interns safety perspective also. It should not be given because per se a lot of, at least in law school, I wouldn't understand the complications and the legalities involved with insider trading, because it's a criminally like you can go to jail also. There's jail time for it, and that's a lot. And especially when it comes to white collar crimes, after you've committed one, uh, you only think about if an intern has committed insider trading offense, which law firm would also be wanting to hire him or her, or any organization for that case. So it's also from their perspective that law firms shy away from giving like sensitive information to interns. But then I think we will figure out a way to streamline this entire process, because even we can't keep all these transaction documents from interns for so long, because we also need their help. So we will be, I think a lot of firms have started giving like remote desktop access and all of that. So I think there will be some movement in that. But then research, honestly, I don't see why that should be a major problem, because I have known my peers who have interned with Nishit Desai Associates. They have like a very research oriented internship, and their internships, all of their slots are like almost filled in some 2 years in advance, 1 year in advance.
Right.
Because honestly, at that stage, you should be open to research.
Right. Like, sir, I've been receiving a lot of questions on the same, that we just get research work. There is just article writing. The recruiters give us only a topic to research upon and then write upon, and that's all about it in the internships. So that's what they wanted to know as to how can they improve their drafting skills, or how will they understand the insight of actual court proceedings, and that way. Research, I agree, research is a very it's the utmost important part in an internship for every law student. That way it increases your knowledge only. But like exactly how to put that research into a formatted structure, the drafting of agreements, how can that be possible? Or do you think that's going to take some more time?
Drafting of agreement, I'm not sure, because I have been a part of 3 law firms already. I have not exactly seen people delegate drafting to interns, because that's something that's strictly, like, I think most of the law firms also have a strict policy around this, that drafting should never be done by an intern, because the problem is a lot of associates, if they blindly rely on an intern, the intern can just be blacklisted, but the associate loses his job if there's something incredibly wrong in that particular document. So given the timelines that everyone functions in, sometimes associates are also lazy enough not to review things properly, and they'll just forward it, which is why almost all law firms, they have a strict policy of not giving transaction documents to be drafted by interns. Very few times, yes, when there's a lot of time crunch, yes, interns are given drafting, like the job to draft documents, but that's highly unlikely in all major law firms, I think. But then transaction documents, yes, I understand, but we will get there. Eventually, we will be sharing because.
Correct. Also, I would like to add, it's not only research work, there are diligence work also where, interns have been put on. What Arup is saying makes sense, because, for an intern to know the, project or to know the document is very difficult. Associate has been working with the team for certain time of certain point of time, certain time, spending time to understand the whole, like if it's a M&A deal, if it's a project finance, the associate have been trained that way, correct? The intern is not trained. Intern is just coming for a month. Now expecting that within a month I would be getting a documentation where, and that it is expected that intern would not be knowing anything about that project or that a sector of law, to be very frank. So therefore, research work has been given, diligence research work has been given. That is the logic, basically, Ridhima.
Right, sir. That
And
makes sense. That's a very, very valid point, sir. Yes, sir.
And internships also, they revolve a lot around research points only. I think for them, given the current situation, I think research work is of optimal importance right now.
And I have seen interns have been praised because of their research work.
Research
A
work also.
certain documentation or certain transactions have gone into a different way.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Mm.
So, from the perspective of a partner or an associate of such a prestigious law firm in India, which is Luthra and Luthra, what are the like over time, as you've observed, what are the wrong perspectives that law students might have of internships? Like once they enter an internship arena, what do you think are the misconceptions which a law student makes up in their mind about internships or about placements for that matter?
So one thing is that most of the students think that if I have done 2 or 3 internship, my job is secured. Not
Right,
that,
sir.
first of all. It is totally depends on the caliber and the kind of work the intern has done. It may be a callback internship, but callback internship does not mean you are getting a PPO. That is one.
Right.
The idea of internship is to get you accustomed with the environment of work. It is expected that you are still a student and you are going to finish your law and all, and it is not sort of a job prospect, to be very frank. That would come at around 4th year, 5th year, not from 1st to 3rd year, definitely not.
Right, sir. Arup, sir, would you like to add something upon it?
So, like, I think I've already emphasized on this, long working hours means you are going to
Right.
impress your seniors. That's not true at all. This is one of the biggest misconceptions that interns have coming day in and day out. This is something that needs to be taught. Like, see, it's not just about you. The thing is, I have personally seen so many interns not having anything to do and like just sticking around just for the sake of it. I think all of that should be avoided because that is viewed very negatively. Because if you
Right.
end up spending, see, a lot of times, like after you've come to the profession, you would realize that like everyone starts valuing their sleep a lot. I think Abir would agree. So if you're getting free from office, yes, it's always good to go chat up with your associates or your partners. That's a very good thing. But you do realize that associates and partners are still in office because they have a lot of deliverables. So
Right.
that should be brief again, and you shouldn't be seen around wasting your time because that's viewed very negatively. And the more you sit and see, the thing is, if you're actually delivering a lot, that's a very good thing that will work in your favor. But then if you're just sitting on the job to, like, say, a job could have been done at 8 p.m. in the evening, but you send that email out at 2 a.m., people will just think of you as a very inefficient person. So all of that
Exactly.
should be. So, and second, I think a lot of people also have the perspective that the earlier you start at a corporate law firms, like interning at corporate law firms, the better it is for your CV. I don't think that's true exactly, and I would rather recommend, like I have like a cousin who's doing law. I have recommended to her that please don't take up a corporate internship before you reach your 3rd year, because I'll just tell you the things that goes on this side of the table. Like for an intern also, whoever comes to intern in their 1st or 2nd year, most of the associates are of the view that ye contact wala hai. That
Right.
itself is a big disadvantage for you, because first 2 years, a lot of law firms will not even have the policy of taking interns from 1st or 2nd year. Like a lot of law firms will only take interns from 3rd, 4th, 5th. The problem is a lot of interns, but look, I'm not sure about what contact they have. It's, first of all, it's not going to be very advantageous for that person because everyone is prejudiced. to begin with. Everyone is just prejudiced that yes, this is through a contact. And you all know that how all Indians hate nepotism, given the recent light of events. So that's viewed very negatively. And plus, whoever is doing things like that, I think you're wasting someone else's opportunity to be able to shine in a law firm. So that's again one of the things that I feel that interns feel, that starting an internship from first or second year in a corporate law firm helps. But I genuinely don't think that actually does any good to you. You should
Yes,
always
I
start.
think, sorry, sir.
Yeah, go on.
No, plus I also think that maybe we have not yet studied that much of a thing which we would be advantageous for in a corporate law firm, because initially when we come in a law school, we study about criminal law and everything. So it's better that we go and observe the court proceedings, know as to what the procedure is, and then we come to corporate internships. I agree with you, sir. Sir,
Yeah,
another.
Riddhima, actually, correct. You have pointed out that first and second year you should be visiting the court. You should see the court proceedings.
Yes,
You also get to analyze that whether you're liking the court proceedings or not. That is also one of the part. Along with that, you can always write a research paper, article, and all. Build your CV instead of first year, second year getting into a corporate law firm. What Arup is saying also, it's a fact that many a time people think like that way. How come that person in his or her first year got into such a big law firm?
right. Yes, sir. So another major question which majority of students have had is that nowadays, since the pandemic and the upcoming of digital and online internships, there are online certificate courses which are being offered by, let's say, Coursera or edX or Udemy and everything. So are they valuable enough for a law student to put that in their CVs? And if yes, what value does it add to their performer? Are they
Okay,
acceptable? Are they valid?
I have personally not done any of those certificate courses, so
Right, sir.
I wouldn't know. But given the fact that if uh, uh, during your third year, fourth year, or fifth year, at least you would know that which
Right, sir.
area of law you're going to practice, and if these online courses are offering something like that sort. For example, if Coursera has a banking and finance related course, and you think that going forward you're going to do all your internship and your job in banking finance very much sure in your fifth year or fourth year, I think it is good.
So I think you got muted by chance.
Muted, no, on its own. So I
Okay.
think this certificate course would be very helpful, because at least you would get some sort of more insight from these courses in addition to your internship and in addition to your general curriculum.
Right, sir.
And
I agree with
certificate
you.
courses, actually, I have like a completely different view. While they're very helpful to like they can decorate your CV really well, but then that also comes with its own set of perils. Like for instance, if you have something for a particular subject area on your CV that you've done a certificate course from, that's just one additional thing that you need to be prepared for your interview. So that basically increases the amount of reading that you have to do before your interviews. So obviously it's like everything just boils down to the amount of learnings that you've had. So
Right.
if you have like two CVs of the same caliber, and one CV has like a additional 5-6 certificate courses, yes, that will have an edge, but then that's not going to be a deal breaker per se. But then that's always good to have it, because it's you will definitely stand out, and the amount of learnings that you get. I think all of these, I have gone through a couple of these courses, and I've myself done a couple of short course from Rainmaker. I'm not sure if there's still a thing around, but I think they were really nice and very informative. Everyone should be doing it, yes. But then when it comes to interviews, you'll have to be really well prepared. Like for instance, I'm guilty of this. When I was running short of time for a particular interview, I just revised my entire CV to remove everything from my short course because I didn't have the time to go through those material again I was not confident enough to be answering all of those questions. So I just removed all of them all of a sudden. So that is just one way to think about it. They're very helpful, yes.
That makes sense. But I think students are taking up these online courses as an alternative to the internships, since it takes time to adapt to a new situation. I think a lot of law firms are also reluctant to take digital interns or to undergo online internships. That's why I think as an alternative, students are trying to do that. But it makes sense. I mean, you should be really sure you should not just do it for the sake of it or for something to put on your CV as an additional thing. If you're confident that you've actually learned, then you should put it.
Do it honestly and like you to really go through it, because I've been a law student like very recently, so I know what all things to like people do to get these online certifications from. So do everything sincerely and honestly, because like just for the sake of adding things to your CV, you will actually make your case worse off if you do not know things from that particular certificate course that you have quoted in your CV. So to be very sincere and be very clear with what you have put in your CV.
Right, sir. So, being senior members in the industry, I think law students would like to ask you a few questions regarding the specialization which they should take up. So, what should a student focus upon while taking up a specialization? And what do the law firm expect of students when they take up such specialization and when they come from a specialized, like a master's degree?
So, talking from my experience,
Right.
we didn't have that much of choice. When I passed out 2006, choices were very less actually. And I got into in-house. I got a PPO only, and I got into a company. And then I moved to a very a mid-level law firm. And I started as a corporate lawyer, and then slowly I got into project finance and banking finance, and since then I started liking it. So I never thought that I would become a banking finance or project finance lawyer, and later on, I would be doing restructuring and insolvency. It just came along with me with change in circumstances and all. Obviously you think that you would be doing something, and it happens that you end up doing something else. That is one thing I'm telling you from my experience. In terms of LLM, yes, if you'd like to have a foreign exposure, if you'd like to work with big MNCs, if you'd like to work with certain like IFC, ADB and all, their LLM is must. And if someone aspires to be working in those sort of organization, then they should see that what are the criterias, and if LLM is must, they should do it. But typically I have not done any LLM, and most of the law firm partners, if you see, most of them may not be, majority, maybe 80 to 90% may not have LLM and PhD also. So that's a different segment of law. It is expected that, as soon as you pass out your law, you get into profession so that you get more exposure. That is one. Now, specialization. You may think during your college that I would specialize in IPR, correct? Or I would specialize in M&A. Now, if you'd really like to do that, then you'll have to really dig out and figure out that what all things you have to do, what all moot courts you have to do, what all reading, what all guide you'd require going forward, where all you would be doing internship, and you have to be determined on that. You can't just think that I would do this, but I would do internship wherever I will get, irrespective, correct? So If you would like to do IPR, even if you are getting in a tier 3 law firm, you do that, because that is the sort of thing you would like to build upon on your CV, correct? Even if you are getting a tier 1 law firm opportunity. So that is something you have to keep in mind. I think all students would have to keep in mind. And I think more or less this only, because as such, I think specialization is too early. Once you get into real work, and once you get a taste of it, then you sort of, you know, get a chance to work on those transactions and think through it, that whether you would be going forward with that segment or not.
Right, sir. Very well said, sir. So I think due to the paucity of time, if you would like to add something or to conclude something, I would like you to go ahead with that.
Just to add to, I think what Abid just said, 5 years of school, I come from a school of thought to say that it's like a scrapbook, do whatever you want to do, and you don't have to like super specialize or over specialize in something. But then obviously there are people who would want to excel in one particular field of law. I really respect them. But then what I would say to like law students is that please keep yourself open, because I have known some exceptional person, like people who have done exceptionally well in their professional career, but then during law school they had their focuses on a very different field of law. Like for instance, one of my really close friends, Anjali Dwivedi, is a stellar lawyer with Karanjawala. All her law school life, she'd always done international public law, but now she's just killing it in dispute resolution. I think one of your seniors also who works with CAMP, I really respect that guy, Gurkaran. All his law school, he always wanted to do tax law, but right now he's a stellar general corporate lawyer. So I don't think at like during that 5 years of law school, you should super specialize on something, because see, like for instance, law is not exactly a cocoon thing. Like any law is not a cocoon thing. It will have to interact with various other laws. But then when it comes to, I think the most important skill that a law student should be taking out of a law school is not his or her knowledge about law. That's also important. But then it's how you interpret things, like things, or how you make up arguments. So I think, according to me, this is strictly according to me, I think few of the subjects that's really important and really helps develop such a acumen is first is contracts law. I think that's one of the most underrated subject that everyone comes through, but then it has a wide application. I think at least in all commercial transactions, it's all contracts law. I think that's something that everyone should be focusing on. Constitutional law, administrative law, they actually really help you with how to interpret things and interpret law, which is really important. And these are key takeaways that you should be taking away from a law school. But super specialization, no, I don't think so, because a lot of people change the specialization after just doing one moot in a different subject area. So even if to all people who have thought that, yes, I will super specialize during my law school only, you should try certain things, certain other things also. You might like competition law, you might like just general corporate, you might like IPR. Just try it out, like, because you have 5 years. Take up a different subject area of moot every semester or every year. Like, don't just be comfortable with constitutional law moot or international public law moot. Just start doing everything. IPR, do competition. That way, you would figure out what is the best for you.
That makes sense, sir. Really valid. Sir, I think due to the paucity of time, now we should wrap up the webinar. And I think we can take up a few questions since we have another 10-15 minutes. So we can take up a few questions. Before we take up any questions, I would like to tell all the attendees, all the law students who are attending this webinar, that since the pandemic time is a really difficult time for all of us, and there are constraints on the internships which a student can secure. So JRTC in turn has organized this GLIT test, General Law Internship Test, which helps a student to take up a test. It's a general law based test, very easy to crack. And on the basis of that test result, you can secure internships. So I would request everybody I would encourage them to take up that test. It's really going to be helpful. And sir, according to the few questions which we
Add to what Ridhima is saying, like all the attendees, I think you should genuinely look out to JRTC because I'm not sure if a lot of you guys are also aware of the fact, but they're being backed by CAM. So and this is one institution which actually sees a lot of good startup ideas, and they have shortlisted JRTC. I'm not sure about whether they're funding them, but then they're definitely backed by CAM. So yes, if they have like a very nice platform to give you internships, I think you should take it very seriously. It seems really promising.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, a few students would like to know as to how will the hiring be affected after the current situation, like after the pandemic has hit, how will the hiring situation be changed or affected?
So right now, hey, has Abhi dropped off or something?
He is still there, but I think his video is not okay. I think
Okay.
welcome back, sir.
Hiring wise, I think Abhi will be a better person to tell you because he does the hiring. Yeah, but then otherwise, I think this year a lot of these freshers joinings were deferred by 2-3 months. But then this is not something that should cause a panic amongst people. I think, like at least from within the firm, I'm telling you, people are getting busier by the day, and people are figuring out ways to hire more people now. So there's not it shouldn't worry people that yes, they have been deferred, but bright times are ahead.
Yeah, so in
Abhi,
terms of hiring, yes, see, we are all going through a sudden sort of issues which we have not envisaged, and we are also mindful, as you are aware, Ridhima, that classes, colleges have been postponing the results and everything.
right,
So right now the situation is not very clear, and as and when we get more and more clarity, we would take a call in terms of recruitment and internships and all. But we have done couple of internship, virtual internship, and basis which our management would try and figure out that how going forward we are going to do a virtual internship. And in terms of recruitment also, it is still being discussed at management level, and our management would decide going forward that how things would come up.
right, sir. So students have been missing out on the soft skills development in this online internship phase. So by not being present physically in a professional setting, so what do you think are the ways in which a student can work upon that?
Yeah, this is a very, very pertinent question, because most of the time what happens if you are in office, you would get to see the senior, how the senior is dealing with the client, correct? How the meetings is being done. So those sort of soft skills are, yes, definitely are missing in virtual internship. I think this would take some time for the interns also to get used to it, and more the way we are going to conduct our meetings and all, and if students can participate or intern can participate, I think then it would be useful. But so far, I think yes, it's a very big loss for the interns that they are not able to work with the associate, senior associate, or the partner directly, or not being able to sometime attend the meeting, sometime are able to be part of the negotiations and all, because most of the time, even if we are having negotiation, we may not be able to take the intern also on that same call, but in case of meeting we may be able to take them. So that is something I think with time it would be sorted out. But right now, yes, it is sort of something which interns are going to miss.
Right, sir. So, any suggestions which you have for a 3-year post-law student which has graduated, since they have spent lesser time, or they haven't had that much of experience? Like students tend to take up a 3-year law course after supposedly doing an BBA course, or after pursuing a English honors degree and whatever. So they have comparatively a lesser experience in the field of law. So what do you think about internship opportunities for them?
So we have seen that old course students are also getting internship opportunities. But yes, there is a disparity between third year and fifth year, because fifth year is more and more focused in terms of students and what they're going to do. Third year law courses are something someone would have done English honors, or someone would have done a general graduation and coming into that 3-year course. They have little bit of disadvantageous position in terms with, you know, 5-year law course, but they should start little early. That's what I can say, because they would have already covered the graduation course, and from
Right.
their first year, second year, they should start, unlike the 5-year law course students.
And also for them, I think they should start doing their internships from second year onwards, because see,
Correct.
most of these integrated law, 5-year law schools also, for the first 2 years, you hardly get to read any hardcore law related subjects,
Right.
right? It's legal language, or if you've taken BBA, business administration. So
Jurisprudence part and everything.
jurisprudence is very important.
It is.
That's it is very important. But yeah, we end up having a lot of non-law subjects. So, that way speaking, they're not at a major disadvantage. Yes, but then most of the law firms and like litigating people, especially people, older generation people from litigation, they prefer having a 3-year-old course, like interns from a 3-year-old course, than having someone from integrated. But then law firms also, I don't think they discriminate a lot between a 5-year law course student and a 3-year law course student. I think opportunities are equal. But then obviously, like I said, if corporate internships for 5-year law course should start at third year. But then for 3 years, they should start in second and third, because they end up reading a lot of law in that 1 year.
Right. So this is a very general question which the students would like to ask you. What about the CGPA or the GPA as a hiring person? What is the minimum GPA or CGPA which a person looks into consideration or takes into consideration for taking an intern or for hiring a law student? Like the minimum GPA which probably you consider.
Not honestly. So this is a criteria. Yes, people do look into it. I think majorly Abir would be able to tell you, for a partner, whoever is interviewing a person, it finally boils down to the interview.
Right.
Because a lot of law firm partners, like I have realized, they don't want you to know the law. They just want you to know where to find things and how to find out a solution. They look at people like that, at least in law firms, and even for litigating places also. It's never about the GPA or CGPA, honestly. But look, it can be looked at. So if you find like two students with the same caliber, if you have to finally take a choice, well, like I have to make a call about one person. Yes, the person who has a higher CGPA will be at an advantage. But then honestly, it just boils down to your final interview that you have with the partner, and how the partner thinks you will fit his working style and his team, and how will you be able to value add to his products, and not just a CGPA or GPA, honestly.
I fully agree with Arup. For in-house, it would be little different. For in-house role, I think result does matter, and the HR process, they look in during HR process, they do look at the CGPA and other criterias as well. For a law firm, you need to be a smart lawyer, and if you have all the criterias which Arup has mentioned, then academics, to be very frank, is not a very big constraint. But that does not mean you would end up doing only internship and all, you would not study, and then you'd fail in your class.
That's going to put you at a disadvantage before the CV even makes it to the partner's table. So a lot of scrutiny happens before a CV travels to the partner's table also. If you have like really low CGPA or GPA, then questions could be asked and raised by the HR department. But then honestly, once you've secured yourself an interview, it is all about the interview that
So
actually
in a
decides
way, it
whether.
should be balanced.
Yeah,
Both the academics
balancing,
and your
correct.
internship should be balanced.
You're
And so,
right.
do you think now, since the pandemic is there, a lot of students would be considering that we may take a year off so that things stabilize and then we'll start again. Until then, we can do some online course or take up some online LLM course, for example, so that they're not affected that much. So, do you think this gap year would affect the internships?
I think somehow it is gonna affect the internships and all, but also at the same point of time, I would like to tell people that there are new things are coming up due to this pandemic. One is, frustration of contract, and force major related issues. Contract acts are being relooked at, something which students may look at and start reading up. There are new areas like fintech, data protection, and I don't think there are many lawyers who would be there into those fields. So people can think of reading those up, doing something in those areas, because those areas are emerging areas. And if they read up, study, and do certificate courses, that might help them going
Right.
forward.
So without, despite of wasting time, they should just read up more so that they're in touch and they do not lose the connect. Right?
Correct,
I
correct.
think
At the end of the day,
we should. Sorry, sir.
at the end of the day, it's knowledge that will matter.
Right,
1 year
sir.
off does not mean that you're just chilling.
Exactly.
Maybe a
And
gap in
also
your
one more thing, people will have to be mindful. When the whole class is failing, you are not alone failing. It is the situation where, the thing is that it is impacting everyone, not you
Right.
alone. So just think from that perspective, you are not the one who is the person suffering. The whole batch would be suffering going forward, and therefore you should not lose hope. You should think of what all things you can do during this time. And obviously you would have your immediate seniors, your immediate mentors. Please be in touch with them, discuss with them, and then take it forward.
Right. Very well, sir. So I think we should wrap up the session now. It was a very insightful and informative session. Thank you so much, Abir sir. Thank you so much, Arup sir, for sparing some time to help us in our careers. And thank you so much. We would love to have you again, speak with us again. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank
And
you,
if you
sir.
want
Thank you to everyone who has attended.
Right.
And if they have any questions, the participants after this session also would be happy to respond through you as well.
Sure, sir. We'll look into it. If there are some questions which are still unanswered, we can probably mail you the questions and we can have the answers.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.